Good morning, everyone. You've asked a question and I'm here to answer it. Everybody wants to know, how in the world do I keep the critters out of my garden? Everybody sees that I don't have a fence around my garden, and so many people have asked me this question through the years. Do you know what? I think today is the first time in 4 years that I'm going to answer it. So I hope you stay tuned to find out. For $1, how can I get rid of all the critters in my garden? It's easy as 1, 2, 3. And welcome back. So many people have asked me this question. They see my garden and they see I have no fence around it, and they wonder, well, how can I have a garden, no fence, and not have any critters eating up all of my wonderful food? It is so simple and so easy, but it requires a mask. Now, why does it require a mask and it's organic? Well, that's very simple, because today I'm going to show you a way that you can keep your rabbits, the deer, and all kinds of animals out of your garden. But you want to wear a mask when you apply it. Right, I'm going to tell you what we can use for $1 to get rid of your animals. I'm going to show you how I apply it, and I'm going to show you some other tricks in the garden. Here we go. Are you ready? It's either hot pepper flakes or cayenne. You can get these at the Dollar Tree, a large bottle of it for $1. We sprinkle this around the garden. It keeps your pets out. Also, it keeps the animals out, and it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't hurt the environment, and it doesn't hurt the critters. But we want to wear a mask when we apply it, because basically it's like spraying pepper spray all over your garden. How long is this good for? Well, it's good for a couple months. Now, if you have a really heavy rain, you want to reapply it. But let's just say your typical summer, you're going to apply it and maybe keep it for about 6 weeks, and then you'll reapply it again. It just depends on how many critters that you have. Do this a couple times, your critters will get in the garden, they'll get it on their feet, and they're going to lick their feet, and boy, oh boy, are they going to be in for a surprise. Now, if you're really secluded out in the middle of nowhere and you have a lot of wildlife, this may not work that great for you. But for a lot of people who are in the suburban or the urban environment, this works out great. So let's get started, and I'll show you how we apply it. So you want to wear a mask, because that way if the air blows your way, you're not smelling all of those hot peppers. But really, it doesn't have any smell once you lay it down on the ground, and it doesn't kick up the scent at all. But your animals will surely smell it. Did you know that animals have a more sense of smell than we do? Animals can smell things from miles away. And let me tell you one thing, they don't like that hot pepper flakes on their skin and on their feet. All right, so let's get started, and I'll show you how we apply it. So what we do is we're going to start with the edge of our garden. You want to make sure you're about 1 foot to 2 feet in. So 1 bottle does enough for my whole garden. And I think you're going to get the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle this the whole way around the garden. I won't videotape it because it's going to make you dizzy. But as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot. You can put on as thin or as thick as you want. And by not using it in with water, it will last you a lot longer. Because if you were diluting it with water, like pepper spray, it would not last very long. You can do this around the bushes, around flowers. Also keeps cats out of your garden as well. All right, I'll get back to you in just a few minutes. Now, if you really have trouble with them, you can actually sprinkle them onto your plants. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, it's a little bit on the windy side, so I have to get down lower. But you can sprinkle them right onto your plants. It won't burn them. At least it hasn't for me. A lot of people ask me different questions about my garden. People want to know, how do I keep it weed free? Well, I use both my hands and I use some antique forks like this. And this is how I weed my garden. I weed my garden every other day. That way it keeps it weed free. Now, as you all know, I use a rototiller till about June. Now my garden is too full to use a rototiller, and that means I have to weed it with a hoe or weed it with one of them forks. You want to make sure after you apply your hot pepper flakes, you wash your hands really good, because if you don't wash your hands, you know if you touch your face, it can burn. So I'm going to share with you other things about my garden. Keeping it weed free every other day, it really makes it so manageable, because if you wait too long, then it's just so many weeds and you aren't able to keep after it. It's very important to have a weed-free garden as much as you can. Not only does it look pretty, it also, the weeds can take vital nutrients away from your garden plants. I want to tell you another secret about having beautiful plants in your garden, and that is coffee grounds. So if you ever have any coffee grounds, or if you have coffee that you don't drink, maybe it was gifted to you, don't throw it away. Use the coffee grounds in all of your plants. So I sprinkle coffee grounds and eggshells whenever I get them around my plants. And look how beautiful my tomatoes are starting to look. You have to think about it like you're feeding yourself. If you go with days without eating, what happens? You become very weak. But if you feed yourself with the proper nutrition, you are strong and you're able to do the things that you can do. Or like gas in a car. What happens if you put water in your gas tank? Your car won't go very far, will it? But if you put good, solid gas, if you put good gas in your car, it will run real well. That's how your plants are. What you put in your plants is what you're going to get out. So there you go, my friends. It's $1 to keep those pests away from your garden, and it's great for the environment too. All right, now let me sit down a little bit and we'll discuss some other things about garden life. So I wanted to end this video with the current look of my garden. Now, we've had a lot of flooding from the hurricane that moved up the East Coast. So I'm trying to get my garden right back into shape. It's been quite a challenge, but I wanted to share with you what my garden looks like today in August. I'm filming this August 9th. And so you can see my sunflowers and my herbs are just so abundant right now. I need to go ahead and get a trimmers and trim back all of my herbs. I can't hardly get into the garden because it is ankle deep in mud, but I want to show you a real life look at my garden. I've been getting a lot of tomatoes, so I've been really harvesting tomatoes every day, and you're going to have videos coming up of my garden harvest. My videos tend to be anywhere from 7 to 10 days on behind. So what you see was 7 days ago or around that time. But everything is just growing really nicely. My grapes, I am just absolutely so excited about my grapes because this has been the best grape season I think I've had so far.